Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Maddie. I post new Sims content every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And today, I figured we'd do something a little kooky. I am using my husband today, and we are going to basically just see how many curses he can get and what are the implications of them. Simple goal, okay? Just gain some curses, as many as we can, and see what happens from there. So before we fully jump into this video, if you guys wouldn't mind leaving me a like, leaving me a comment of any suggestions you may have, or something that you love about the Sims game or love about the Realm of Magic, you know, just a little something. And of course, please subscribe, as once again I do post 3 times a week, so if you don't find it robbery to come hang out with me, please do. And I highly recommend sticking to the end of the video to learn something that may not be well known for the Realm of Magic. So without further ado, we're going to get right on into it. So ultimately, I know in order to gain a curse that we need either A, need to lose a whole bunch of duels, B, overcharge ourselves to basically where we explode and have some sort of curse, or C, we need to mess up on spells that we have no business doing because we aren't ranked up that high. So we're just going to try and do all of the things to collect these curses. As you can see, I just won this last battle, so obviously that doesn't help me get a curse, but overcharging definitely will. So I'm not going to discharge him or anything like that because of the fact we want him to gain as many curses as possible. And the one I really want to see is the Night Stalker or the Night Wrath. So we kind of just want to play with it from there. But I'm just going around basically asking everybody to duel. So as I get into this next duel, I go ahead and check my little magical bubble. As you can see, it has burst. So after this duel, I will face the wrath of a spellcaster's overcharge, which is fine. You know, that's what we need. And so far, I've been winning all of these duels, so not gonna be, you know, the curse of losing or the curse of the duelist just yet. And I overcharged myself, and of course, I stink. But luckily, I didn't get any curses. You know, that's luckily for somebody who's not trying to get a curse, but I am, so unluckily, I did not get a curse. But this is the start to my curses. So this right here is the second duel I've lost in a row, plus having a spellcaster overcharge. So we should more than likely get a curse from this, which we did. We ended up getting the curse of the duelist, which means it's going to be harder for us to win duels or, you know, collect rewards from winning. However, my spellcaster overload led me to die. Yes, very sad and too soon, honestly. So then I had my wife come. Okay, I had her come because I was like, you know, she's gonna have to see this. And obviously she was very comfortable at the house because shorty ain't got no clothes on, so I'm gonna have to change her clothes so that she's presentable to be out in public. And yeah, she's gonna have to mourn her baby, her husband. She does eventually try to plead for her husband, but it fell on deaf ears. And yeah, the Grim Reaper clearly wasn't going for my plead, so I just went ahead and left it alone. He took up my husband and left me with an urn, in which I summoned my husband back and let him continue to do what needs to be done to fulfill all these curses that we want to get. And I go ahead and do what most loved ones want to do with their deceased and tell them they love them, okay? And then I go ahead and add him to the family and ask him to join the family because, yeah, we can't, you know, just live ghostly. This my husband. He got to be a part of the family, okay? Ghost or not, we set our vows and we gonna go. So back to our objective of gaining as many curses as possible. I just go ahead, since our little bubble is already broken, we're gonna go ahead and set something on fire. Go ahead and cause myself to overload because I can't die any more than I'm already dead. I'm already a ghost. So the fear of death is no longer hanging over me, and I feel like this is maybe a good thing. So now moving on, I am going to try and just do as many spells to anybody who's around, to be honest. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and chillio one of these girls here, but it ended up backfiring and it did it to myself. No matter how many times I clicked on the character, it was not it was not doing it for them. It was doing it for me. And I'm like, oh, great. That's amazing. And then, of course, I had these moodlets, and now I'm frozen, uncomfortable, and have to wait for me to thaw out. And so when he finally thaws out, we get back to business. I just set a random part of the floor on fire, and we're just going to see what happens from there. And I'm sure nobody is surprised that we have gone into overcharge once again. But like I said, we can't fear death because we're already dead. So, and this leads us to our second curse, which is the curse of scrambled spells, i.e. meaning whenever I go to cast a spell, it may or may not turn out right. It may end up, backfiring on me. Like, how I tried to do Chillio on that girl, and then I ended up getting Chillioed. And then I tried to do just like certain productive spells, they won't go through. So there is that. So we are now up to our second curse, which is cool. And we are going to basically keep going because as you can see, when I try to do a curse on somebody else, it literally tries to do it on myself instead. So we just have to be a little bit more careful about doing some spells around here. And I apparently have no issues of doing destructive spells on, surrounding objects or whatnot. But doing productive spells on surrounding objects and or people doesn't work because I will try to do Repario and, Scrubberoo and things of that nature, and they don't work. As you can see, like, I'll get the curse above my head like, oh no, that's not going to work. So I can be destructive, but productive, no, not with this curse. And it really doesn't even matter how many times you attempt to try to do something productive. It just doesn't work because I tried Repario I don't know how many times and it literally will not work. So after wreaking some more havoc of setting a bench on fire and then setting a girl into ice, I then have another spellcaster overload and I do achieve my third and final curse, which is the Night Wrath curse. Yay us. Okay, curse of the Night Wrath. A spectral stalker is hunting you. So essentially, this curse will drain your energy level and you won't be able to raise it back up because you won't be able to sleep or relax or anything like that because you're going to be too scared to close your eyes. So obviously once we succeed, I take him back home. And I'm like, okay, at least he can relax. No, because apparently relaxing involves closing your eyes, which he is too scared to do. And since he's dead, he can't sunbathe. So now I'm like, okay, well, why is he scared to close his eyes? Like is he just being tormented, in his mind, like where he can't sleep or like what is, like, I'm confused, right? But then nighttime came and I became a little bit more aware of what was actually happening. And yes, I did bring my husband back to life. And as I zoom out, I see this figure on the sidewalk just, stalking our home. So I'm like, oh, this must be the Night Wrath, which indeedy do it is. And he just waltzed right on into the house. And this thing is indeed the reason why your sim will not sleep. Okay, this is the reason why your sim will run around like a chicken with his head cut off because he is that scared. And as you can see, the Night Wrath will come up behind you and just scream in your face and just make these weird noises. But luckily, they don't do anything like real physical to them. They just stalk them and kind of just torment them, essentially. But as you can see, my sim who is not being stalked, she doesn't seem to have any fear of this thing. And she's like, okay, yeah, you do what you do. And I'm going to go take care of my baby. So she doesn't seem to have any fear from the Night Wrath. Neither does my daughter. I'm not sure if it's maybe because they technically can't see the Night Wrath and only my husband can, or what the case may be, because you can't click on the Night Wrath to interact with it. So I'm just going to assume that the rest of the household can't see this entity that is tormenting my husband because nobody else gets scared by him. But he will legitimately just follow my husband around because he's literally going over to the kitchen in the same spot. It's chasing me. Neok is being stalked by something really creepy. He should stay as far away from it as possible, which is obviously kind of hard to do whenever, somebody is actively chasing you or actively following you. And I will say the Nightwalker will randomly pop up even in the daytime sometimes. And sometimes he doesn't come. So it's very off and on of when your sim will get stalked by this creature. But like I said, nothing physically happens to them other than the fact that they can't sleep because they're being haunted by this thing that is literally following them around and screaming in their face. And he's literally molding some clay, like, okay. I'm glad that puts him at ease. Like, he can have this thing, screaming at him and whatnot, and he's all right for right now. But, of course, once he actually takes notice, he stops what he's doing, and he goes running frantically. But, yeah, almost 100% positive that the other Sims can't see the Night Wrath. Otherwise, they would be scared too. Or otherwise, I feel like the Night Wrath would, kind of like scream at them as well. But it doesn't happen. So yeah, there goes all 3 curses. So the curse of the Duelist, the curse of Night Wrath, and the curse of confused spells. And I'm one of those people, I just like to do things just to do them. So I don't want, my Sim to actually have these curses for the rest of his life, for the rest of his, realm of magic life. So I went ahead and decursified him and everything like that. And I just did that, one at a time, removing each curse at a time to get rid of that. You can also cheat it by shift clicking on your Sim and then removing its traits of having those curses. And of course, if you don't want to go through all I went through to get all of these curses, you can obviously shift click on your Sim and add the trait of the curses if you'd like. So there is that option. And so with my husband being brought back to life, obviously I don't want him to overcharge and die again. So I went ahead and gave him a familiar, one that I haven't already bound because I do have another one of these. So went ahead and just placed it for him to get. And so he can bind that familiar to him so he can have the confidence and avoid death if he does so have that, magical overcharge again. And so we're just going to go ahead and bind that familiar, call him Hoots. And so whenever he, gets to a place where he's going to overcharge and doesn't have any time to, discharge himself, Hoots will take care of it. Yes, he'll still overcharge, but he won't die nor have any curses because your familiars will save you from those things. And neat little trick I found out, you can also bind your pet as a familiar. Now, your pet won't follow you around like a familiar will. Your pet will just, be your pet. But you can definitely do that. So you don't have to find these familiars in order to have one. You can literally bind your pet as a familiar, and it'll do the exact same thing as a regular familiar and save you from curses and death from magical overcharge. So there is that. If you guys like this video, please give me a like. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns, leave it down in the comment section below. I do respond to all comments, so don't fear there. I hope to see you guys back in another video. If you don't find it robbery to come hang out with me, please hit subscribe because I am new to the gang and I would love to have your support. So once again, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Like I said in my last video, if you guys are needing anything of prayer, anything of that nature, like I said, please walk by faith and not by fear because these are some wicked times we are in. Love y'all. Y'all loves you. Have a great one, babe.